evening. I'm sitting at kind of a weird angle because my cat is currently under the covers with me and I can't disturb her, but I have been working on this paper due in 2 days. That's worth 70% of my grade. Fun times, and I'm a little bit stuck on it. Like I've been working on it all day. So I just wanted to take like a second to work on this project because I had a flash of understanding where I was like, wait, I understand how this works now. Like, it seems, I think I understand it. So we're gonna jump into my neural network that I'm working on. It's a Hopfield network. Okay, it's all here. I'm relieved because I was like, oh my God, it's gonna take like, it's gonna be gone. So I just realized how this works, like kind of where everything like as it's going through, it's almost like feeding it down a factory line where weight starts as an empty box. Then here it gets like edited essentially. And then by the time it's here, it's like I think it's like edited to this level. And so then by the time it gets here, it's like edited by this. It's almost like it's getting fed through, I think. That's what my intuition tells me, but I want to double check that. So then that makes me understand it a lot more because I'm seeing like, okay, by the time it's here, it's like this is the format that it's in. So that's why this needs to be impacted, like something needs to change here. Okay. I think that's right. Let me check right now. I'm trying to get like the story arc of weights. Like what's going on with weights as it's going down the line. Oh my gosh, wait. Okay, so the weights changes in that first like from empty it gets changed to something. So I'm guessing here it gets like this gets the box gets filled. And then by the time it gets here, it's like multiplying itself. Oh, wait, I didn't even have to ask. I'm gonna ask still, but a Hopfield network doesn't have the same layout, so it's kind of hard to explain. Like, oh wait, you can kind of see it. Like, let me see if I find an image. I think that it's like that's how I don't know how to verbalize it, but I understand now where it's like, okay, the numbers are changing, and so it's going like updating. Like, I don't know how to verbalize it. Let's see if ChatGPT will explain what I'm feeling but can't say out loud. Okay, so I'm gonna ask this. I think I can see it, but I just wanna make sure that I'm understanding everything correctly. That's really gonna change my perception, I think, of how this works. You know what's funny is I keep thinking that things are gonna be more like, I don't know, like I think that Claude Code. Obviously, I still need to. I need to learn one that's a little bit more typical with like that init line or whatever. And I actually got a new book. How do I get this without my cat moving? Okay, I got a new book in the mail. This is the book. It's called Make Your Own Neural Network, and it actually has like the code like, and it actually explains like those that language, those like that vocab. So I think that's gonna be really helpful, but I need to learn it in those words, like in it and all that. It's funny because I think Claude Code is really only gonna have to write one line of difference. That like I don't think it's gonna have to do like as much. I mean, it is gonna still write stuff, but it's not gonna be like, okay, it has to build everything from scratch. I think if I can do this with like one line of good code, added to this or like two little changes. So start empty box. um no neuron is connected to any other yet. So when it gets to that first update, one pattern is added. So it takes one pattern, and the patterns are these parts up here you see, and then it reshapes it. Where does the reshape happen? Where does the reshape happen? Reshape here, I think, but the pattern is reshaped. I think that this chat is starting to get overloaded. This happens sometimes that ChatGPT, it's like my chat runs out of like storage almost, which is really annoying because like I've been communicating about specific stuff, so then I have to like explain it all again to the next chat, which is really irritating. Okay, so there we go. So it adds the code, first pattern, you compute. So this is what's computing, pattern T pattern. So they're getting multiplied by each other, and then everything is like in there. So weight is plus equal this matrix, so weight equals the matrix. So the weight is just now this whole box. So what I'm not understanding yet is like how's that a weight? I think it's like the central mechanism of a weight. It's like I'm understanding the code better and better, but it's still not clicking like how does that correlate to like a brain? I keep learning it and then it doesn't stick. More patterns are added. So each pattern adds another matrix, adds another like the full matrix like this. I'll come back to that. So after training, race represents I and J. How strong J influences neuron I. In the recall step, noisy pattern equals NP sign, NP dot, noisy pattern and weights. So that's just multiplying the pattern by the weights. Okay, so my image of what's happening was right. Okay, a weight is like a rule. Oh, I kind of understand this now. Like I remember reading because this was confusing me at one point, and I remember reading this at like it'll come to me. It's like what's saved isn't like in the neurons, it's actually like how the neurons connect to each other is like actually what a memory is. Something like that. I don't remember fully right now. I don't know. I'm really tired, but me always being tired in these videos and being like, yeah, I'm just really tired, but it's like I actually am really tired right now. I was out all day. But okay, so that cleared things up a lot for me about like what is this? So now I'm getting the picture. So here there's the patterns. This would be like the thing that they remember. Oh, okay. I kind of think I get it. It's kind of like when, like with place cells, it's like it's learning this, and then am I right in saying that it's like a memory isn't stored in the neurons, it's like the connection between them. So with place cells, it's not in the cell, but in the relationship between the cells, right? Isn't that the weights? Am I insane? Is that right? It's something like that. It's something like that. And I think that's like what all this is. It's kind of like the play cells, and it's like, okay, here's like the thing that you learned. Like, this is almost like the dream, or like how to put it. It's like this is the location that it went to, and then this is like it encoding like the play cells, and then here it's like trying to recall that, and then it has like you see, I needed like that biological backing, but let's see if that's right. Like, no, it's not like inside the cell. It's yeah. Okay, yeah. So it's in the pattern between them. So that's what these patterns are. Distributed representation. In both real brains and models, neurons are units and connections. It's like the synapses. That's what I was looking for. It's stored in the synapses, not in the neurons themselves. So these are kind of like synapses, kind of. That's that's kind of the same thing. Yeah. That's why it's associative learning, because it's like the associations, like associative memory. So that's what's going on here. Like now I'm understanding it more conceptually. I think that was what was missing. I was like, wait a minute, like how does that work again? So the weights are how often neuron I and J are active together. Okay, that makes sense actually now. Okay, that really changed I keep again like things I keep saying in my videos, but like it is like that actually really changed my relationship to it again. So it's like like the connection between them. So I'm just trying to figure out still where recurrent excitation is going and like how to implement that. Which ChatGPT wrote something for me, but I kind of want to like I don't I want to figure it out. I want to understand this, and I want to be the one to be like, this is where it should go and like why, because not only is ChatGPT kind of like sometimes it's not the best at stuff, especially because I'm using free, but also because like you know I don't know. It's like I want to understand like why what's happening is happening. Dude, this is getting so much easier, and I actually did more of it than I thought. Like I just needed to add that one line. It's not like I had to like get Claude Code to write everything for me, and then I'm like, oh, I don't actually understand any of this, but like in it goes to my paper. It's like, oh, I actually understand everything, and I'm figuring out like, it's like it's not I did so much more of this than I thought I was going to in the beginning. Like I was like, okay, obviously I'm not going to understand how to do this, but it's not as hard as I thought. Like it actually isn't. Um, I feel like I was able to do more of everything. Like, it's like, okay, and I also understand like the rules now. Like I understand like, okay, it's always the same like Hebbian learning rule for now, unless the recurrent excitation is going to change that. And I understand that like all of these are summations, so I can almost visualize this a little bit better in my head than I thought I was going to be able to. So that's actually pretty cool that I genuinely did more of this than I expected to. Let's see what does like the what does this look like as like a plasticity rule? Or like no, it's not a plasticity rule. Like what is this rule? Is there a name for it? And can I find like a version of it? Because I know, dude, these are actually so simple when it comes to the actual like rules. Like this is already written for me. This is just like that Hebbian learning rule, and then this is gonna be something, and that's it. I don't need to like even add that much more, so that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna change it like a little bit. Let's start a new chat for this. Dude, it's crazy. I've been reflecting actually this year on how cool it is to watch yourself grow a skill. Because I was working on my paper today for my master's degree program, and even though like I'm not like being like, okay, this is gonna be my masterpiece of a like no, I'm just gonna be I don't care, like I'm gonna pass. I'm still like, I sat down earlier with more confidence. I wrote faster, and I just had more of a sense of what it should look like. And I'm not saying it's like it's not like it's definitely a mid paper so far, but it's like it's so cool to see yourself genuinely get better at something over time. And just doing this, I've been like, whoa, it's really cool to see myself like this was something I just didn't think that I would ever be able to do, and like I'm doing it. And it's crazy to watch yourself grow a skill is really insane, like from scratch. Maybe I should read the original is there like an original paper for Hopfield Network? Because I want to see like what is like the standard Hopfield network. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is the Hopfield update rule. Classic deterministic synchronous update rule. So I thought it was just going to be like a basic rule. How your loops relate to the theory. Things that I think might change are like the attractor, how many times mine is going to update, maybe. I don't know. Hopfield dynamics, iterative relaxation dynamics, fixed point iteration in a Hopfield network, or synchronous update rule, because all the neurons update at once. I think I'm gonna, yes, very standard, but this is like the more common one, updating one neuron at a time. So these are things that I'll have to think about. Like, do I want an asynchronous update? This is all going into my meeting with my professor, I think. Like, not my professor, my supervisor. Should I have an asynchronous update rule? Should I don't know, actually, maybe I'll answer these questions myself. I have no idea. How many iterations should I have? Your iteration. Okay, so usually people use asynchronous updates. Okay. Well, let's see like the rule. So this is probably the rule that I'm going to have in my paper too. I'm going to screenshot this and put it into my draft document. I'm so confused. It says it can cause oscillations. How would there be an oscillation? Like what, how, why? So interesting. Like how does that even work? I understand that there can be Hopfield networks that cause oscillations, but like how in this specific scenario would that even happen? Here's my silly little paper that I've been working on. It's so close to finish. It's insane. Like I can't believe that I did this. This is insanity. Like what? Look at this. I can't wait for this semester to be over, actually. So, but my thinking is that if I'm adding something in there, then it's probably going to change my update rule, right? So let's just put it in there still. But I think that my update rule is going to change. Like, this will be different, actually. Unless it doesn't and it's impacting something else. But okay, that's not what we're looking for. Like, okay, we have two rules. We have two rules here. Wow! Oh my gosh, I remember starting this and being like, how would I even make these rules? What are these rules? Like how? What are they? How do people make them? How do you even come up with this? And like here they are, like these are the rules. No, this is actually insane. How did I even manage this? Like this just goes to show if you're obsessive, you can do anything in reality except relax. I'm really bad at relaxing, but I'm like, if you're obsessive, you truly can like you can truly do anything. You can unlock any skill in the world. Like nothing is impossible at the end of the day. Yeah. I don't know. Just goes to show. So I already have like two rules. All that's left to make, I guess, again, is just like this. We're not even doing pattern separation. Literally all I need to add is recurrent excitation. That's it. That's all it is. And it's gonna be very simple. And then it might impact the update rule, and that's it. What? That's crazy. None of this is gonna be in here that I thought would be. So let's just take this out, and that's it. And then I'm gonna have one with like medium and one with like, oh my God, dude, this is actually happening. How did I do this? Look at my paper. It's beautiful. It's still a mess, but it's a beautiful mess. I can't even believe this. I'm just gonna have to write like one different little thing. I love it. Dude, now I believe it. Now I believe that I will get this published. The goal, the goal was a publication from the beginning. From the beginning, it was to get this published. So I will have a publication, okay? That's our summer goal. Look, I thought there was gonna be other people doing different things. Raquel Turner proposed the model, designed the experiment, carried out the experiments and performed the data analyses. I wrote the first draft of the manuscript, revised. Uh, my supervisor might like he's not gonna revise it. He's just gonna read it. So just supervised. Final draft, read, and approved the submitted version. And then my supervisors look, oh my gosh, that's everything. Like I literally did everything. It goes to show if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. This is actually insane. I literally did every single part of this paper. Like what? And like I was like, oh, it's kind of like lame to have to use AI to like code my stuff, or it's like it's not really gonna that much. Like it will still, but all I need to do is take this really simple one and just convert it to the things that I need. So I still need it to like, I'm probably gonna add that energy thing. I'm still gonna change, like, there's probably gonna be more neurons. This is a very small amount of neurons. Let me ask, like, this is a bad question, but I just want to know, like, how many patterns should I have and, like, how long should they be? I know what none of this means. Okay, so obviously 1 to 5 patterns, I knew that was too little. Under 50 neurons is little. Okay, publishable 100 to 500. And then what's P? I don't remember. Patterns. So 200 neurons with 20 to 30 patterns. Easy. There's still a lot that I don't know. Let me not get ahead of myself. This is often enough for computational neuroscience papers and method sections. Because, like, what is noise tolerance? What is basin of attraction? What is interference between memories? I think it's going to be, like, really wild writing the results section for this because I truly, when I tell you I have no clue how to write the results section for this, I have no clue. I don't know how to write that. I don't know what needs to even be included. No idea. See, this looks really hard. This is stuff that's going in my results section. Robustness to noise. Structured patterns. Correlated patterns. Oh, no. This looks really hard. next week is the last week of class, so they don't make like I'll have time to do all this. But at least I know how hot field network works now. What makes it biological? All this randomness, correlated memories, limited capacity, 100 patterns with structure instead of 1,000 random patterns. It says use at least 100 neurons, store 10 to 50 patterns, show performance across noise levels and loading ratio. Or even better, modify the learning rule. Use sparse Hopfield networks, continuous value. This looks hard. Every time I think I'm done, it's like, no, you will learn some other random thing. Like, no, I don't want to learn anything else. I'm done. You see, it doesn't really matter for my program. I could submit the most simple thing and they wouldn't care because, like, this is just, it's not meant to be published. Like, it's just meant to be a master's thesis. But you know who cares? Me, because I'm not here for school. I'm here for revenge and I'm here for vengeance against the people who hurt me. So for me, this is like this is my career and this is vengeance and this is spite. This is the result of intense spite. So it's like obviously my spite goal, my vengeance goal is to get this published. So that means we will learn anything that we need to learn. Tell me I have to read a whole textbook, I'll read the textbook. You get me? So that's why we're here. So, yeah. So that means that I have to learn all this mess. Because it's not just enough for a master's thesis. You get me? You get me? This is personal. This is my villain arc, okay? So, yeah. What would a villain do? A villain would not just be like, "Yay, I published a master's thesis." No, a villain would be like, "Okay, let's learn noise tolerance, basin of attraction, interference between memories." And as we are in our villain arc, we must continue. You get me? So, yeah, committing to being a villain is so powerful because I'm like, the vision. Get me? I feel like abusers are so comfortable, and institutions who support abusers are so comfortable, and they just have like this is something that like okay, I completely got off all social media like Instagram, Twitter because every time I would go on Instagram or Twitter, I would just imagine like I swear spite is like literally if I feel spiteful, I can do anything, literally anything. I would imagine Mark Zuckerberg's face or Elon Musk's face, and it genuinely killed my social media, like everything, like genuinely, like explore page, like addiction, everything gone. I was like, I hate you people so much that I will never use these social media platforms again. And I truly left. I have not come back because every time like I get on it, all I do is just imagine their faces, and I'm like, oh, I hate you people so bad. Like I'm not going on there. You get me? So and okay, like every time I feel demotivated, I think about how comfortable these people are. And I'm like, bro, to absolutely disturb you and unsettle you, to absolutely disturb and unsettle the patriarchy, to give y'all like stress and to like destructure you, destabilize you, make you feel afraid, make you feel anxious. Oh my God, it's a vision, bro. Like, I'm so ready to, like, I genuinely am like, to be a villain to the patriarchy to make people feel disturbed, to make people feel like, oh, I just can't get away with anything mindlessly, to feel like, oh, wow, like actually there's consequences to your actions. And then, like, to have control and power over your story and be like, yeah, no, like, I'm not going to be silent and I'm going to speak out. Like, the villainness of it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it motivates me so bad. And when I get demotivated, I'm like, yeah, look how comfortable these people are, right? You know what I mean? They just sit around thinking they can do whatever they want to anybody, right? And people are going to be quiet and they're just going to be fine. And like, I just remember that. I'm like, oh no, y'all are about to be real uncomfortable. Trust, because I will put in the work until you're very uncomfortable. Okay? Because it's very uncomfortable to be a survivor, okay? It's very uncomfortable. Trust. And I'm like, let's turn the tables, okay? Right? Some people are about to be real uncomfortable. And yeah, that's really one of my visions. And I know that sounds bad, but it's like actually it motivates me a lot. And I just feel like some people need to be really uncomfortable and disturbed. And I've loved seeing people just constantly getting obsessed with the Epstein files and mentioning it again. It's like, oh yeah, y'all are uncomfortable, aren't you? And it's like, like it just brings peace to my heart to be like, why are y'all sitting around? Like, it's like wake up. Like, let's go. Like, I'm about to clap in your faces. Like, get the freak up and get uncomfortable. Like, you think you're gonna sit around being comfortable? No. You get me? And it's like, I don't think about it all the time, but when I do, like, when I feel down, when I feel demotivated, I'm like, villain arc, get up, girl, work more. Let's be a villain. And like it just really motivates me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think like if you use that energy for bad, it's not a good energy. But I'm like, I just feel like abusers are just too comfortable. I'm like, let's get the root cause of dissociative amnesia. Like, let's mix it up for y'all. Let's get some information. Like, like it really motivates me and it inspires me. I'm like, that's like my inspiration. One time I was talking about like I made like this little like white supremacy video and then somebody in my comments called me an enemy. I'm like, you don't know how much you gassed me up just now. Like for you to see me as an enemy of white supremacy, like thank you. And then I was like, wait, I'm gonna be in my like, you know what I mean? Like I want to be an enemy to the patriarchy. I want y'all to feel uncomfortable that a woman is here and she's doing science and she's absolutely destabilizing your ability to do whatever you want. And like also when I see like the busted science that people are putting out and getting paid for, that's ruining like the experience of people with dissociative disorders, I'm like, time to be an enemy. Get up, get uncomfortable. Think more about your career. Think more about people with dissociative disorders. You think you're just gonna coast and you're gonna ruin life for us and you can get paid for it and you can get like highly esteemed for it? No, bro, here I come. Like, here I come. Okay, like I think I just need to gas myself up for a second. It's like, let's get real uncomfortable, okay? I just feel like the patriarchy, it's like men can come, like, have been able to go in and just be able to, like, kind of just, like, mess around, take, like, half ass things. You're half assing my disorder and you're half assing my life. And it's like, yeah, get uncomfortable, feel weird about it, feel visible. You know what I mean? I'm like, I want everybody to see you and I want everybody to know about it. Okay. It's like, let's make everybody really freaking visible. Like, that's kind of like my inspiration sometimes. And also the improvement of the lives of people with mental health disorders, the improvement of people's lives. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I also feel happiness and I feel like I just want people to have like good representation one day. I want to be somebody supportive and like, it's like that makes me happy. But when I'm like, the happiness like makes it worth it. But when I feel demotivated and when I'm feeling tired, I'm like, be an enemy, be a villain. You get me? Like the people who did this to me are just sitting around enjoying life. One of them's a lawyer, one of them's a researcher, one of them is out there doing like some kind of stupid finance bro kind of situation. And they're just sitting around their little chairs. I want to be like, pull the chair away. You get me? It's like, be uncomfortable. It's like, I'm here, okay? Yeah, you remember me? Like, that's kind of the goal. And then also, it's like the patriarchy and like all these little like wealthy institutions that are just upholding sexual abuse and sexual trauma. Like, you get me where like they're eating lobster on a table and they all have their little like tablecloths tucked in. Like, I just like, I want to like, let's pull the tablecloth away. Get up, get up. And then I feel bad. I'm like, oh, like, I shouldn't put all that energy into it. But I'm like, you know what? I think that they should know that like you never know what's going to happen. You have absolutely zero idea how people are going to react to the abuse that you inflict. And like, the average person isn't going to have the motivation. The average person isn't going to have the spitefulness and the average person isn't going to have the talent. But once in a while there is going to be someone with all of that and they're coming for your ass, okay? They're coming for your bag and it can happen to you, and you should always know that somebody could come and completely destabilize your institution. Somebody could come and destabilize your life, okay? It could always happen if you do something like that to somebody, okay? If you hurt somebody, if you think that you're going to stuff people under the rug, stuff survivors under the rug, just know that there is a chance, and it's rare, but there is a chance that somebody out there we'll see what you do. We'll heal. We'll have all the skills necessary. We'll have the talent necessary. We'll have the spitefulness energy necessary to go all the way through with an entire experiment just because you hurt them. You get me? And it's like, I think it's like, I just want people to know, like, just remember this. You thought that nothing was going to happen and that somebody was going to go walk away feeling disempowered and wasn't going to come back and, like, wasn't going to do anything about it, right? And you're going around disempowering people thinking, well, now they hate themselves and now they're sick and now they're not going to say anything and now they're not going to do anything. Surprise, I love myself, I'm healing, and I care for myself, and I'm going to defend myself. You get me? So it's like you just never know who's going to be the one that you're abusing, you get me? And who you're stuffing under the rug and who you're going to like ignoring and neglecting. You just never know who it's going to be. And it could be me. You know what I'm saying? Like there it could be somebody who is going to have the skill and the passion and potential necessary to embarrass you and to make you look stupid and to call out what you're doing. It could always happen. You get me? So like that's what motivates me, or I'm like, no, we have to go all the way through with it and we have to publish the paper. Like we have to publish the paper because you have to, you got to pull the tablecloth up. You got to pull the chair away and laugh in these people's faces. The system relies on us getting exhausted. That's why, especially as survivors, it's like, okay, we're gonna drag you through a long trial. We absolutely knew from we know from the beginning that you're probably not gonna win, but we're gonna drag you through years of this until you're all the way at the end of your time when this person can't actually face any repercussions anymore. Now what? You're exhausted, right? You're exhausted. And like we're just gonna keep exhausting you until there's nothing left to do, right? And I see this, so when I read these articles about how certain places dealt with sexual abuse that I'll link below, I was like, so you want to exhaust people, right? You want to mentally exhaust people till they can't say anything. You didn't know that I can never get exhausted. I can never, ever, ever get exhausted. You get me? I have endless motivation. I have endless energy. It is impossible to exhaust me. And the system depends on us being exhausted, right? It'll just keep pushing and pushing and pushing back until you get exhausted. That's what it wants to do. Surprise, bitches, I don't get exhausted. All right, let's see if we can learn one more thing tonight that'll like really change how I see this. Actually, this project has been such an interesting emotional process for me. I felt angry earlier and then I laid down. I was like, ooh, like it's funny how it's really lifted something from my soul as I went along. And I feel like it's really helped me to process all of my emotions as well. It's really given me something like lighthearted and productive to throw all my anger into, I think. And I've just felt very different as this project has gone along. Like I feel so much lighter. Like I don't know, I just feel mental I just feel lighter as I go along, actually by a lot. And I don't actually know like what would I have done with myself and how would I have processed if I didn't process it this way? Because I feel like I'm coming out of my emotional process and I'm coming out of all that anger and stuff with like I joke, but also like I feel like I'm coming out of it with like a lot of purpose and a lot of yeah, I don't know. I just feel this weird sense of calm right now. Like I just feel like I came out of this project with actually a lot of purpose in my heart and like I don't know, I don't think that I would have guessed that like I don't know, it's pretty crazy that something insane happened to me and like now I have solutions for people and I have things for them that are going to help them. And all of this darkness and all of this pain and all of this suffering and stuff, like it just went into something so nice. And every once in a while I feel like I like I get these moments where I'm like I really process I don't know, it brings up anger for me like all the time. I think that's really the main emotion. But I don't know, at the same time I feel like I don't know, I like transmuted a lot of emotions through this into like a very different version of me. Like it just alchemized into something so different, I think. I don't know how to put it. I just feel like I got angry earlier and I felt like upset and then I laid down for a second to process it and I was like I can just let it go. Like I'm good. I don't know, just it's felt really healing to work through this. I don't know. And I just felt so much better. Like I just felt like my soul was at peace. And yeah, I think I just like I've been this project has given me such a good place to process my anger towards like society and towards all this stuff because it's like okay, I get through that anger and then it's like okay, but then you actually have something to do and like something that's actually lifting up the issue like that I just felt like I wasn't going to be able to heal while it felt like there was like nothing more for survivors as well because I think any survivor will tell you that like you feel the pain of other survivors so much. It's like a constant trigger to live in our society because it's like okay, like Epstein Files, like all the, I don't think I would have made it through the Epstein Files era without this project. So it's like, okay, every time I see that darkness and that heaviness, it's like, whoa, I have something, I have something real to do that's going to support people versus like this world is so hateful and so awful and like all this stuff. And it's like, I think exactly like, I think that society encourages survivors to feel the sense of helplessness and hopelessness. Like, there's nothing you can do. This is just how the world is. People are going to hurt you. And what you have to do is you just have to forget about it and move on. And like, it's like, I feel like it's like the societally sort of like enforced trauma where it's like you can't escape. This is just how it is. People are just going to hurt you and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's so hard because we have such a strong rape culture as well, and it was so hard for me where it's like, okay, I'm out and it's like I'm seeing other people doing it. I had a close friend who I separated from, and then I found out later that he did that too, and that was really disappointing to me emotionally. I was like, whoa, like you just can't escape it. Like people just do that kind of stuff like a lot. And I don't know, it's just like I was like, oh my God, like it's just really hard. I think when you haven't, when you're not a survivor, it's like, oh, that's awful, but you can turn away and you can just be like, there's so much violence in the world. But once it becomes really personal to you, it's like this sort of collective pain feeling of like, why are all of us going through this? And it hurts so much. And I think that's like, it's been really nice because it's like, obviously I'm gonna be angry. Like I don't understand what the expectation is that I would, how does anybody heal in this society as a survivor? Like I wouldn't have healed without this, I swear, because I'm like, just the pain, like I don't understand, like what are we expected, how are we expected to heal through this? Like I don't, does it make sense? And the only thing that I feel like has gotten me through this has been like I'm actively working towards something that will change the situation, and the situation won't be like this forever is the only thing that's gotten me through this. Like I don't under like, because then I just feel like I can let the anger go, and it's like productive anger of like, oh wow, this was not okay, and like, we're gonna do better now. But it's like it's not, how do you heal without it? I don't know. It's like, or like without art or like, some kind of outlet. It just feels awful. I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's nice to just giving me like a good space to process my anger in, I think, even though I'm busy all the time, but it's like, okay, I'm angry, like, society sucks, all these people suck, and they're just covering it up and all this stuff, and it's like, and it's like, okay, but you're doing something and it's gonna go somewhere and like you're gonna be fine. It's like I feel like I can let the anger go, and I just after I got angry earlier, like I laid down, I was like, okay, but I'm okay, and like, and I love doing this, and I love neuroscience, and I'm getting better, and like all this stuff, like it's so healing and it's so nice, like I'm grateful. Actually, I needed to process that anger earlier because I was like, I was feeling so bad yesterday. I was like, I don't really connect emotionally to this project all the time. But then, like, I have these days where I just feel really frozen and icky, and I just feel like super, like, on high alert all day long. And at the end, I start getting like this weird kind of anger that I can't express. And it's like, I just want to yell and all this stuff. And it's like, ooh, everything's like fine. I'm good. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It just feels so nice. I'm like, thank you, God, for that. Yeah, I feel like everybody needs an outlet. But anyways, now that I feel so much better, like I feel so much better. I actually, so I was like back and forth on whether to include my little rant in this video about my villain arc. But then I was watching this video and this girl expressed something so similar. Wait, it was this video here about this girl. I'm gonna link it below, but she's basically talking about how this is so traumatic. She developed PTSD because she actually was the first Black woman at her university to be voted as like student body president. And then because of that, all these pathetic hate groups started targeting her, like all these white supremacist groups. And there's this moment in the video where they're like, what would you want to say to this person? And she says, you picked the wrong one. Something like that. And I was like, that's my sign that I should keep it in. Because I think I was like, oh, like that hit right now. Like, I was like, exactly. Like, you picked the wrong person to mess with. And I feel like I just want to spread that energy of like, yeah, I don't know. I think when you're in a marginalized position, and I hope this lifts, it's like people expect you to just take the pain, and people like they think like, oh, you're so disempowered, you're not gonna do a thing, you're not gonna say anything, you can't fight, you can't do anything at all, right? And it's like, yeah, you picked the wrong one. one for that because like that's not gonna be how I'm gonna act, right? And people expect you to just be like, okay, stuff it all down, don't say anything, nobody's gonna help you, you are basically a lost cause. And it's like, yeah, no, we're gonna get creative and we're gonna figure out a way. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, it just felt like a sign. So I was like, I actually felt better after I ranted, and then I was like, and then I laid down, I was like, okay, I can lift it all. And now I'm like, I'm going into my neuroscience career, I'm good. I was like, maybe I'll just keep that for me. Like, it was just like a little, like, I needed to release and vent. But then I saw that video and it's like, it feels like a sign because it hit when I heard that. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. It's like, you picked the wrong freaking one. But anyways, go be the wrong person to pick in your life. That's your sign, whoever watches this. Anyways, yeah, so let's see if we can add one more thing. What can we learn? What do I not like get? Actually, I feel like this, like, I kind of feel like I'm getting most of this now. I have a question about these four loops, though. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's like, I've been thinking so much about this throughout the course of this project that people that hurt you, they expect you to take on the emotional weight of like you holding on to, like, you hold on to the pain and you don't say a thing so that they can be comfortable and they can be okay. And I think that a lot about, like, for example, obviously, like, I care a lot about white supremacy. I do not, like, I'm super against white supremacy. I think it's the most idiotic thing. I also think that it causes more issues than just simple racism, obviously, like world issues. So I really do not like white supremacy at all. Like, I just think it's dumb, and I also think it hurts white people. That's my big thing, right? Okay. But I've been thinking about this from like that standpoint of like, obviously, like, I feel like that system forces other people, like forces people of color to like stay quiet to make sure that white people are comfortable. And I was thinking about how so many of these different oppressive systems, the point is that you stay quiet and you don't say a word because like other people would be uncomfortable and disrupted. And it's like, I'm like, I think it's super I think it's super powerful to be like, yeah, I am going to be disruptive and I am going to be uncomfortable, and like if you're going to be that way, you can be uncomfortable about it. And I've been reminding that of myself of that like through my own journey, because I think especially being white, I've talked about how you like internalize the rules of whiteness, and like I think that us white people as well, like we absorb the idea that we also should not make other white people uncomfortable, and like we shouldn't create facilitate discomfort in them. And I feel myself like getting that tendency all the time, or like internally, like, oh, I feel bad, like I don't want to make people uncomfortable, where it's like I think it's super important to be okay with making people uncomfortable. I actually learned this in therapy as well, that like it wasn't actually towards other people, but like to embrace the discomfort of making other people uncomfortable is so important, actually. And yeah, I was like, I think that it's discomfort is how people grow. Discomfort is how the world grows. And I think that people should be uncomfortable. I think it's like it's a good thing to make people uncomfortable. And I was like, I think that survivors, like all survivors, should be like, it's like I think that we often sometimes I feel like there's like this twisted and backwards thing that people are like, no, don't talk about it because you need to heal. So to heal, you shouldn't talk about it. To heal, you shouldn't feel angry. To heal, you shouldn't feel any emotions at all. Like to heal, you should stuff everything down and like never mention it to me. Where it's like, I don't think that that's like, I think that's actually like, I don't think that everybody's intentionally being like, some type of way, but it's like, I also think that people do that because like they don't want to deal with the discomfort of like the emotions that survivors have. And like they don't want to like they don't want to be disrupted by like our anger and our frustration. And you see that a lot within families as well. For people that have dealt with like childhood sexual abuse, which sounds like the most horrible and sad thing, it's like a lot of families don't want to sit with the discomfort of what has occurred. So what they do is like they'll just tell you to like, they just kind of gaslight you, or like, oh, don't talk about it, like all this stuff. And I think that's just collectively like we don't want to deal with the discomfort of like what sexual abuse is and stuff. And yeah, I just like actually hearing like what my university did to like other survivors in the most horrendous of ways, and allowing a sexual abuser to even abuse, for example, pregnant women. A lot of pregnant women were sexually abused, and then they try to stuff down all their stories, all these different things that are disgusting. Again, link in the bio. it made me feel more valid because I was like, oh, this is just what they're doing. And they don't like people to talk about it because they don't want to cause a scene. And even to the like, let me actually mention what was like done. I was just shocked at how all my time as a student I hadn't heard this. And then I heard it after I had gone through my own like trauma with the school. And I was like, wait a freaking minute, this is insane. And I was like, wait, I think a lot more people need to hear this. It's like the freaking, I just don't feel like enough people have heard about this. And it just kind of like, okay, so first part of the article is all these awful things that were being done. Okay. So they basically they knew what happened. Okay. They knew what happened. They were getting complaints for a very, very long time about this sexual abuser. Okay. He was doing absolutely disgusting things. This is one. Okay. Super trigger warning for this next part. Okay. Let's go through like a few different things that stick out to me. I've wanted to vent about this too because again, it's like that collective trauma feeling of like, oh my freaking God, that I imagine other survivors are feeling where you read something and you're like, it sticks with you, okay? It really sticks with you as a survivor. So Hadden was arrested at his office. He was arrested because he sexually abused a pregnant woman who then called the police actually and he got arrested. What happened? So Mary Dalton, the head of Columbia's OBGYN department, went to the clinic when she heard police were on the scene. Meanwhile, a squad car took Kenyok to St. Luke's Hospital for a rape kit examination, then to meet with a prosecutor. She returned home around 11 p.m. After a long shower, she peeked at her baby. My daughter's asleep, she recalls thinking, and I'm safe. Everybody is safe. Kenyok didn't know that Hadden had already been released from custody. On Saturday, police spoke with the department's administrator, Jean Delicari. On Monday, Hadden received a hand-delivered letter from Columbia. Dear Bob, it began, I write to inform you of the position of the university and New York Presbyterian Hospital with respect to the allegations against you currently being investigated by the New York City Police Department. The letter said that if Hadden had a chaperone with him while examining patients, and if he complied with all the university and hospital policies, he was free to resume clinical activity. So let's get this straight. They've already been getting consistent reports of a sexual abuse case, okay, with this person. We're going to go into that in a second. What happens next? So basically, they tell this sexual abuser who just got released from prison, hey, like, we're going to watch you, and as long as you don't sexually abuse someone right in front of us while we have someone there, you're free to continue to sexually abuse people. That's basically what happened. Um, yeah, so on Tuesday, Hadden was back in the exam room. Columbia let him continue practicing for another 5 weeks. This is after like decades also of sexual abuse. This was like near the end of his time. So 8 patients say he assaulted them in that time. In 5 weeks, he assaulted 8 people. This man has hundreds, like over 500 sexual abuse victims. Let's go to some of the other things that really stick out to me about the story because I'm like, I just feel like it needs to be known by everybody. This is like the Columbia Files right here. Okay, we've got the Epstein files. This is like the Columbia Files. So, agreeing to pay $236.5 million to resolve lawsuits brought by 226 of Hadden's victims, Columbia admitted no fault, which is in keeping with public statements over the years placing the blame for what happened solely on Hadden. But the university's own records show that women repeatedly tried to warn Columbia doctors and staff about Hadden. At least twice, the fact that the Hadden bosses and the OBGYN department knew of the women's concerns was acknowledged in writing, and they allowed him to continue practicing. Makes total sense, right? Because even after my abuser was on academic probation for sexual assault, he actually was still allowed to go and pick up another, like in theory, go pick up another student to go to his room, actually, if he wanted to, for days on campus. Okay, it was only because my friend was there and she went and stopped them that he wasn't like, I don't know, actually I hope they didn't let the student go with him. But yeah, they pretty much let these people just walk around campus totally fine, like no issue. Let's go into some of the other parts that I find pretty interesting about this. So once Hadden's crimes became clear, Columbia worked to tamp down the crisis. It waited months to tell his patients that he was no longer working and sent matter-of-fact letters that omitted the reason. Wouldn't you want to know that somebody got kicked out for sexual abuse? And this is why they probably didn't do it, to make sure that other victims didn't know that they could come and actually join on these sort of lawsuits that were happening, right? They didn't want more people to be like, wait a minute, that actually happened to me. I just didn't say a thing, right? So after police and prosecutors began to investigate Hadden, Columbia failed to hand over evidence in its possession despite subpoenas that compelled it to do so. The university also did not tell the district attorney when more patients came forward. Witnesses who could have strengthened this case prosecutors were trying to build. So they intentionally went out of their way to make sure this case wasn't like fully fleshed out to its possible maximum potential, actually. Okay, so the DA found Columbia's conduct so concerning that the office launched a criminal investigation into the university itself, along with the affiliated hospital where Hadden had admitted privileges. The inquiry found that Columbia had, by neglecting to place document retention holds, intended to destroy emails written by Hadden and his former colleagues who had left the university. The DA found the records because they were inadvertently left on an old server, which Columbia disputes. I find that pretty despicable and disgusting, to be honest with you. The local investigation of the Hadden ended in a 2016 deal that allowed him to avoid serving a single day in jail. This is for someone who's committed over 500 sexual abuses, by the way, at this point. So Cyrus Vance Jr., who was a DA at the time, says that if Columbia had fully cooperated, it might have made a difference in his office's decision to accept a plea. Obviously, that did not happen, Vance says. His former deputy, Karen Friedman, is more direct. Columbia, she says, did not have clean hands here. If they didn't know, it's because they chose not to know. Hadden remained free until his victims began to go public in such numbers that federal investigators took up the case in 2020 and secured his conviction. So they intentionally let a sexual criminal out on the streets because they didn't want to ruin their reputation. So they were okay with lives being ruined and abuses being inflicted on pregnant women and like this is the thing is that they'll gaslight and they keep kind of like putting the blame only on him as if they didn't intentionally try to cover this up. So the university, so in emailed statements, an unnamed spokesperson wrote that Columbia was profoundly sorry for the pain that Robert Hadden's patients suffered as a result of his abhorrent misconduct, before re-emphasizing that he purposely worked to evade oversight and engineered situations in which he would abuse his patients. So they were acting like he just kind of like he was so nefarious and like he was so sneaky that there was no way of them knowing because he would just hide it. Where it's like, I think you were hiding it actually. And I'm sorry to trigger people, but this is what these patients look like at the time, okay? Very pregnant women. Very pregnant women. Disgusting. This is what I find really interesting about this as well. Like I was thinking this and then this article said it. There was nothing, he wasn't like the best OBGYN in the world. He wasn't like super duper amazing, which makes it you think like why on earth would they feel so protective of him that they would protect him for like 500 something patients? It just makes you really scratch your head. Like what was the thinking behind that? It doesn't make any type of sense, but you know, they were just scrambling to cover this up for the longest time. And it's like, for what? What did you gain from that? What was the thought process that you're okay with so many pregnant women being sexually abused? But it's like that's really interesting because like there was no special purpose to him. There was no special reason. Like what was happening there doesn't make any sense. I think it just really speaks to the sort of relationship that they have to survivors, where it's like you are so willing to you don't care, so like you care so little that you would rather have like this to protect and cover up this very mediocre person that you could fire in a second and it wouldn't even matter, like people would cheer you on. Like you would rather protect him than like spare the kind of trauma on so many pregnant women. I find that pretty interesting. Like, why? What was the thinking, right? People actually had seen him assaulting people. Okay. So multiple employees also saw this. Not all of them reported it, but they did see it. One of his patients, like the level, like the kinds of patients that he's um coming for, like it's just really despicable. This was a 16-year-old pregnant girl. The other one that I thought was really disgusting is that he actually delivered a baby while working, and then later she became his patient, and he sexually abused her. So he literally sexually abused someone he brought out into the world of this woman's body. That's disgusting. Look at this. So people were trying. People were trying to complain. So this is the 16-year-old girl. This is 1992. So a week later, her boyfriend's mother brought her back to the clinic to file a complaint. A receptionist gave her a sticky note with a phone number. After calling several times, the girl finally reached a live voice and said that the doctor in the clinic had made her uncomfortable. She transferred around and left a few voicemails. No one seemed to care. She could never get anyone at Columbia in a position of authority to speak to her directly, so they were avoiding her. So Columbia ignored older women with better resources too. In 1993, this person was living in New York, pursuing her doctorate. She became pregnant. It's always these pregnant women. She was looking for this type of doctor that I don't know how to pronounce, closer to her home, and a friend recommended this newish doctor. Yeah, this is what's really crazy is that as Hadden left the room, Monson felt the assistant's eyes boring into her. I felt like she was telling me, "Don't come back." And then yeah, she wasn't able to process until later. This article actually validated how I felt so much about Colombia because I was like, I felt so many of these same emotions. So Monson realized there was one thing she could do. She was a writer. If she created a document for Hadden's personnel file at Columbia, she thought more evidence would surely follow. What is their threshold for acting on a complaint against a physician? She remembers thinking. Maybe it's 3 people, maybe it's 4, but they'll reach that threshold pretty quickly, and they will get rid of this doctor. Still, she dreaded that task and put it off for months. So finally, she did this, right? And she typed a letter. She chose impassive clinical language so she would not be dismissed as emotional. I have never, until being examined by this doctor, have been disturbed by a way that this was conducted. She described everything, okay? So she wrote this letter. They put the envelopes in the mail. One was addressed to the risk management department at Columbia, and the second was sent to Harold Fox, the acting head of the OBGYN department at Columbia Presbyterian. The risk office never responded, but Monson received a prompt reply from Fox, who said he would investigate and follow up in 2 weeks. I was gratified, she says. I was like, okay, finally they're going to listen. This is the extent of the investigation Fox conducted. He asked the medical assistant whether she had seen anything inappropriate. The assistant said no, and Fox let the matter drop. Fox later testified to a grand jury that Sterling Williams, who was then vice chairman of the OBGYN department, had agreed that this effort was adequate, and she never heard anything again. Just the lack of attention, the lack of sort of effort, right? Because it feels deep down like everybody knows that nothing's going to happen, actually. I mean, I'm still thinking about how I want to tell my full story, but you really get the sense that everybody around you knows that nothing is going to happen for you, right? You really get the sense. It's like, okay, you go in thinking, okay, I'm doing a good thing, and then it's like you can just tell that everybody already knows that they're not going to help you. I mean, straight up, right? That you're going to go years into this effort and like nobody actually has the genuine intention to do something about it, is how it feels. And then I was reading this, I was like, it really seems like that's the case because obviously nobody went in with a genuine intention here, right? Nobody actually cared. They were just like, like that's the extent. Right? Oh yeah, we're going to see some if you don't sexually abuse someone in front of somebody that you already know is going to be there, you're solid, dude. You can go back to work. Why would they sexually abuse somebody in front of the person that they know is going to be watching them? Does it make sense? No, obviously they wouldn't. So what? See, the receptionist knew. So she told this to the receptionist. She recalled saying, "This another person. I know, and I'm sorry." So people knew that he was doing this to everybody. They just knew. There was different warning signs. So he had a write-up for inappropriate use of a computer. Obviously, we can imagine he was probably watching porn on the computer. We can imagine. So this was an actual write-up. Within Colombia's bureaucracy, warning signs, both subtle and glaring, failed to have any effect. So in 2004 or 2005, this yoga instructor, received a referral to see Hadden from her Columbia obstetrician. I never know how to pronounce anything. At their first appointment, Hadden assaulted her, she says. Hadden returned to Isinger for her care and eventually decided to tell her what happened. She reported this, actually, and she just looked at me. She kind of waved her hand. She was like, "That's just Dr. Hadden." That's the point that it gets to with a lot of sexual abuse cases, isn't it? People just keep saying it's happening, it's happening. People just completely get desensitized to it, and they're just like, that's just how it is. That's just who that person is. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I feel like there's this collective societal sense of like, Well, you just have to take it because that's just how people are. People are just sexual abusers and we're not going to do anything about it. That's how it feels. Actually, that's why it feels like people just tell you to move on with your life. Just heal. Don't get obsessed with it. Don't think about it anymore. It's like, how can I heal? How can I heal like in this condition? How can I like with when there's nothing to do? Right? That's just how it feels, or it's like you're just okay with that. That's just normal to you. Like, okay. So, Herman left the appointment feeling like her concerns had been shut down. I remember thinking, wait, what the fuck? After giving birth, she stopped going to these two places. That's like when I was telling them, like, hey, this person, like, now he's suspended, and he came into the room, into the lunchroom. We weren't supposed to be close to each other, and he came and he crossed right behind me, practically touching my, like, literally, like, our entire massive dining hall. It was pretty much empty except for my friend and I. He came, he snuck in, got his food. This is the person who raped me. And he walked in and he walked right behind my chair, like touching me essentially, turned around and sat at the table behind me, chair right behind me, staring at my back. And when I told them, like, hey, he's not supposed to do this, and he did it, they said, well, this thing that is supposed to be protecting you from this person getting close to you actually goes both ways. So next time you leave the room, I was like, wait a minute, you're okay with it? You're okay with him acting like that, and you're okay with me feeling threatened on campus? You'd rather protect him than me? I was like, wait a minute, that's insanity. So that was like, I was like, this is really resonating. This actually is exactly how they act. I find that pretty disgusting. And you're just supposed to accept that sexual abusers are just like roaming campus. They're like, that's just how it is. Like, you just have to be okay with it. We're not going to do anything for you, is pretty much the general vibe cultivated on campus. You know, it's not a safe place, actually. Like, now I look back, I'm like, that's not a safe position for anybody to be in. It's incredibly unsafe to be on a campus like that where people won't take seriously sexual abusers, and sexual violence creates an incredibly unsafe environment for students. It's not okay. Okay, so a lot of people were complaining. They pretty much did absolutely nothing. I won't go into the whole article. You can read it. I mean, it's a long article, which just goes to show how lengthy the cover up was, okay? And how awful. And yeah, I mean, just the level of abuse isn't, I mean, astounding. It's like over 500 people. Insane. And yeah, I mean, I was reading this and I was like, this is the culture. This is the culture of the administration, right? That they care so much about their reputation that they're really okay with pregnant women honestly being sexually abused. And there was a lot of people complaining, and they just don't care. It's like it just blows your mind. I think it just blows your mind how little care there is, and it's like you don't, until you've gone through a sexual trauma, you cannot comprehend how painful it is, how intense that trauma will linger with you, and how much it changes your life. You just can't imagine. I think because it happens to so many women, particularly, it's like a normal part of life to people where it's like, well, everybody goes through it, like that's just normal. It's not normal. It's not normal. The amount of women out here with sexual trauma is not normal. It's not, sexual trauma is not something you just walk off. Do you see how it is still impacting me years later? It will impact you so deeply. Like, it's a wound that really sticks. It's not okay. And because people haven't gone through it, they're really okay with people going through it. They're like, that's a hit that you can take. Your trauma, your pregnancy, and the memories of your pregnancy, that's like one of the most special and important pivotal times of a person's life that marks their womanhood. Oh, we're really okay with that being ruined so that what? You can keep some medium level mediocre gynecologist, and you don't get some kind of like, what? It makes absolutely no sense. And the fact that they went so far with the cover up to even stop this man from getting like the kind of prison time that he should have gotten for over 500 sexual abuses is insanity. Insane. That's actually the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life. The least you can do is make sure that a sexual abuser like him gets, like, as much time as he can. That is the absolute least that you can do. To the level that they covered it up, And this is the thing, is that there was waves where they kept sort of allowing, like, the legal teams, I don't know the exact terminology, but they would kind of make extensions so that more people can kind of come through and like talk about their sexual abuse. And this is what really gets me, is that actually this is what really gets me, is the number went up and up. Okay, so I've seen estimates of how many people were abused, that are anywhere from 500 to like like, it might be up to 1,000. But the thing is that they didn't send letters. They weren't adamant about making sure that everybody knew that a sexual abuser was on campus. They tried to cover that up when they sent the letters. And I really deeply think that that's to make sure that people who were getting sexually, to minimize the amount of people who were actually getting sexually abused, who, minimize the amount of people that would come up and say that they too were sexually abused by this predator, right? To make sure that people didn't know, so they couldn't connect the dots, and they couldn't, people that didn't have the guts to speak out per se, not guts, but they were still processing the trauma or whatever, wouldn't come and be like, wait a minute, that actually happened to me too, right? Because there's strength in numbers. And first of all, this person got 20 years in prison, which I think is also so indicative of the justice system, that he would get simply 20 years for over 500 sexual abuses. Bringing it back, because I think all of these issues, this is my other incentive, okay, for caring about white supremacy as well, is that like these issues are so interconnected. And to think that there's Black Americans who will pretty much get 20 years for like possession of marijuana, and to think that this white man who was working at this university would get 20 years in prison for over 500 sexual abuses is insane, actually insane. And to think that maybe he would have gotten more time, and he would have gotten in there earlier if they had actually like gone through with it and actually cared and pulled that information, like, you know what I mean, like really made sure that they're like, this is the like absolutely like the worst thing I've ever heard. I just think like from a moral standpoint, it's like, is the morality not hitting you? Like, how detached do you have to be, and how little compassion and empathy for human beings do you have to not go all the way through with like the most absolute maximum thing? And it just shows how little Colombia cares about people. I think that's what really like, it really opened my eyes. I was like, they don't care about people. The trustees care about their money, right? They care about their money. They don't care about pregnant women and the well-being of women. No, they care about money. That's it, and their reputation. And I find it pretty disgusting. And it's like, oh, we don't want like a scandal, right? So you would rather accumulate more women. And that's what I'm saying, is that they think, well, it's okay because people are going to be quiet, right? Because these survivor people, like, oh yeah, now they're traumatized, now they're walking away and like they're hurt, right? And they're not going to say anything at all. They're going to, because it's too traumatizing and all these different things, right? That they think, well, they're not going to say a word. And I think it's like, what do you expect, to put 500 women out there with a trauma that they're not going to say anything? And like, is that what you're expecting? If so, like, it's like, that must be what you expected, because if not, how could you let it get to that number? How on earth could you let it get to that number, thinking, well, people aren't just going to say, or I guess they thought they were just going to keep covering it up like entirely, right? This is actually, I want to pull up this line too. I want to pull up this line too, because I think this line also spoke to me like a lot. Okay. This is it right here. Well, what do we here? So the key evidence in this case would be Kenyok's testimony. She struck me as someone who'd make an excellent witness. She was poised, smart, well-spoken, confident, tough, an incredible memory for detail. But there was a problem. Police records show that while analysis of Kenyok's rape kit found genetic material from two males, one of whom naturally was her boyfriend, the lab could not determine that the second sample belonged to Hadden. The DA's office decided to shelve the case. Middendorf called Kenyok to break the news in early 2013. The main thing I remember saying is I was sorry, Middendorf says. That stands out because it was not the culture at the time to say that kind of thing. The expectation was to be just the facts man, very stiff and almost cold towards your victims. Kenyok replied, well, what do we do? He can't practice medicine. She thought a civil lawsuit might achieve some measure of justice and serve as a warning for other women. One day, pushing her daughter in a stroller through the Columbus Circle Mall, she took a call from an attorney she knew. He goes, "You definitely have a case, but you can't fight Columbia. You can't. Just be realistic about what you're doing." Yeah, and I will say that I had people who like I didn't have lawyers, but I have people who were lawyer adjacent, and obviously they were super duper smart and super great, and they tried their best with me, but I think like they made it pretty clear that it is very, very hard. Like it's very hard to get a case through, okay? That's basically like what I gathered, what I learned, okay? It's not a simple feat, okay? Like truly people go above and beyond. I can say as somebody who went through a Title IX trial, like they don't want you to be right, okay? They don't want you to be right, and they don't want to do anything for you. Like you have to know that straight from the get-go, is that like most people, like it doesn't come out on, you don't come out on top. They don't want it to go right for you. I think it's very, very clear. And I think they think because they're like these high level people that like, oh, okay, yeah, like we're big shots here. Nobody can do a thing, right? Like we're just gonna keep stuffing people down. Well, screw you. That's disgusting. That is actually morally disgusting in every possible way. Like I just find that so like it really opened my eyes, and I could never have respect for that school again. And it saddens me because I was really excited to go there. I was a low income student, okay, and nobody in my family had gone to an Ivy League. Like we didn't have a culture of that. I wasn't like we didn't have other student, I didn't have like a legacy part, my parents definitely didn't go to an Ivy League. So very massive deal for me to get into one, okay? And then I was like again, like I'm keeping my own details out of it, but the way that the things that were said, I was like, this is actually just downright disrespectful to me as a woman and as a student. The kind of assumptions that were made about me and my trauma, I was like, you're not trained enough for this, first of all. You definitely don't have the training to say any of this. You're not psychologists, and you don't have the information necessary to make that statement about me, first of all. Um, Second of all, I was like, as a woman, I was like the misogyny. I was like, this is incredibly misogynistic. And they put all women, like it was mostly women working on my case. And I think that kind of makes you feel like your guard is lowered, like, oh, women are gonna look out for you. No, they won't. They won't. They're part of the institution too. And yeah, I was just like, yeah, these people really don't care. They don't care. They don't want you to win. Definitely not. They don't want these cases. They don't want people to come through it. And like they don't care about keeping campus safe either. I'll tell you that for an absolute fact. It's not about keeping campus safe, because if it was about keeping campus safe and if they cared about that, then they would kick out the sexual abuser in the first 100 victims. Hopefully less than that. For it to get to that many, like I think it's just absolutely disgusting. There's just no reason for this. And I just feel like nobody knows enough about this, okay? People haven't heard enough about this. And like, there's just not like, I didn't even hear about this. So I just think that not enough people must have heard, because obviously that was intentional, and obviously they were trying to avoid this conversation. But I think in the wake of the Epstein files, like the Columbia files, let's open them up. Like, I think that people should see this too. Okay. Um, yeah, I think it's absolutely disgusting the way that they act, and to think that they would put in additional effort to make sure that people didn't know that a sexual abuser had interacted with them as well, and they wouldn't wouldn't make sure that everybody was very informed and had every opportunity to come forward and make an allegation against somebody. You don't know, like this is what really gets me, is like these people don't know how awful sexual trauma is. And I think that as a society, it's very like we're very okay with women going through this. We're like, yeah, you can be like we're like a sacrifice, it's like, okay, it's very okay for you to deal with pain for like our comfort to be okay. Like, it's like you will take the pain for us, and like we will continue to be comfortable, and we will be continuing to like stay in this sort of place of stability while you take all the painfulness for us, and it's like we're like these sort of like punching bags of society where it's like, what? That's disgusting. And like I think that sexual trauma of any kind is so normalized that I think we've become desensitized to just how awful it is. It's horrible, okay? It feels like shit. Like every day you wake up for like the first 2 years were absolutely awful post trauma. Like genuinely, like, the whole difficulty up until now, I don't feel okay still, and it's been years. Like, it's been like 6 years. I'm still struggling with PTSD. It's that awful, okay? And it's just like, wow, the absolute level of disrespect to me as a woman. I'm an incredibly intelligent woman. I am an asset to everywhere that I go. I'm an asset in terms of my intelligence and what I can offer. And I think that it's like it's pretty insane how it's like you were okay with missing out on the intelligence and the capacity that I have to create things that are important in the world because you would rather hold up a mediocre man's career, academic career and school career, and be okay with us women like taking the pain and taking the hit and going off and having our careers derailed because I just I just think of all the like how much more could I have thrived in undergrad with first of all without sexual trauma occurring to me, but then to go to my last semester was like the one of the worst semesters of my life. I was like, I hate it here. I'm so angry. These people don't care. I'm still here. Like my abuser is still here on campus. Like I practically feel like I almost failed 2 classes. And I'm just like post trauma, like through healing, I've been like, oh wait, I'm really smart. I have a lot to offer the world as a researcher, as everything. And it's like, you are totally fine with like missing out on the potential of women by allowing us to suffer and struggle. Like, you don't care, right? It's like you'd rather in every situation hold up a man's career and hold up a man's everything, right? A man's reputation, a man's it just sickens me. It's absolutely sickening how many mediocre men Columbia's okay with just pushing through and all these different things and protecting where it's like we're here too, okay? Women are here too, and we're also really freaking smart and like we're also worth protecting and worth fighting for. Our place is worth fighting for as well, and my academic career was worth fighting for as well. I could have gone back to Columbia. I liked New York. I could have stayed there. I could have done my master's there. I could have done like a PhD there. I could have been a researcher there. I could have sent my kids there in the future. And it's like, I will absolutely never do any of that. I've lost all respect for this institution to see how they handle things. And it's just like, I was like, wow, like they truly don't care at all. And it's like the level of pain they're willing to put women through for mediocre men to stay on their campus is insane. It's like, wow. It's just like it just really speaks volumes, I think. Um yeah, and it's like you don't think that we're worthy, like you don't think we're worthy of putting resources into either. You don't think that we're worthy of like protecting and caring for. Pretty crazy. Anyways, you know what? I think I've learned enough for tonight. I think this video is just gonna be me talking about this, and I just think that more people should hear about this. I was like, how have I not heard about it? But then it made sense, right? Because obviously they don't want people to be informed about it, and they don't want people to be informed about the massive sexual amount of sexual traumas that were inflicted on pregnant women and teenagers and everything by a man on their campus, right? They've done everything to cover it up. That's just who they are, right? That's just who they are. And I was like, wow, this is like peering into somebody's soul, but like the university and just learning everything that they did. I was like, it's like it's like the veil was lifted and this place that I just held in high regard. And I was like, oh wow, like smart people go here and all these people that I respect so much have gone to this university and like the beatniks went there and like, oh wow, like I'm gonna go study there and like all this stuff. And I was like, oh, you're disgusting. And nothing that you stand for is true. None of the values you stand for is true. I find it ironic that the president, a university president who was the highest paid university president in the world, he got paid like $3 million a year. It might have been more than that actually. Yep. $3.8 million a year. And the first conversation he ever had with us as a campus of like, oh, the intro speech was all about free speech. And I know it's like a little bit of a different thing, but it's like, how are you like promoting free speech on campus? Meanwhile, you're stuffing down the voices of survivors like crazy, like left and right. It's pretty insane. And it's like, it's a little bit of a different thing, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I just find it pretty ironic and just pretty strange. And yeah, I think it just really opened my eyes to who these people actually are and what they're really about. And yeah, they don't want you to leave empowered. If you're a survivor, they want you to leave feeling bad about yourself and they don't want you to speak out, okay? They don't want that on their campus. And it's like it wasn't your fault until you went out of your way to make it your fault. Why are you making it your fault on purpose? I don't know, but it's like, yeah, choices. But anyways, yeah, next video I'll be in a better mood. But actually, this has really truly been healing. I'm not gonna lie to you, I felt better. I felt so good today, and then I was like mad, and I was like, I felt even better. And I was like, yeah, I just feel like all this needs to be said, because there's all this stuff that like we just teach survivors to like bottle it all up until you go insane. And it's like, no, let's speak about it. Let's talk about everything. Let's let it all out. These people are insane, okay? All our politicians are freaking insane and disgusting as well, and I don't respect them, and I don't respect Colombia. So yeah.